Hi and welcome, or welcome back if you've been with me before. Today's video is a follow-on really from another video that we've done about a no-spend week. So if you've watched me before, you might have seen my no-spend weeks where I shop from my cupboards, and that's what this video is about. This video is following my week, so we're going to have a look at the breakfasts, the lunches and the dinners that I ate over this week. If you've not been with me before, this channel is about budgeting, frugal living, and everything to do with having a lifestyle where you spend less money, basically. So let's have a look at our no spend week meals video. So if you didn't see the video where we planned the meals, here's the meal plan, just so we can see the meals that we planned. And here's a reminder of the ingredients or the items that I had available to me for breakfasts, for lunches and for dinners. And this is what we did with them. Let's get into that video and see whether or not I actually managed the challenge without having to buy anything. Most mornings I had a bowl full of my porridge. Now then, this porridge is about £13 a bag for a kilo bag. And someone did ask me in the comments on one of my last videos why I used this porridge, which is considerably more expensive than a bag of regular porridge oats. And that's for a couple of reasons. So my daughter gave me this, recommended it to me because she's actually a fitness athlete and a fitness coach. And when I was unwell after my surgery, I could eat very little, and porridge was one of the things that I could eat. So this one comes packed with extra protein, vitamins and minerals, etc. And it's instant, so it just makes up with hot water, which means it was really easy for me to prepare. And what I found was that I didn't really eat a great deal of it compared to what I would eat from a normal bag, and so it lasts me absolute ages. So this is what I had most mornings on this week's no shop challenge. So day one I kept really simple with a cheese and tomato sandwich for lunch and some of those Marmite and cheese potato puffs. And then in the evening it was very simple. It was just a corned beef hash taken out of the freezer, and I didn't video it, I just took photographs. Let's have a look and see what happened on day two. So I'm doing myself a pan of big soup. Whether you have big soup where you are, let's start just a bit, there it is. Heinz big soup. Not the cheapest on the block, you're going to say. I get that. But I think when I bought this, I was on that sort of, illness journey. And it was one of those things I thought I might be able to cook really easily. There we are, a nice bowl of Heinz beef and vegetable big soup. Looks really nice, doesn't it? So I did have a portion of minced beef in the freezer, which I was going to use for one of my meals. And then I had an idea. I remembered I had some instant mash in the cupboard, which I didn't show on the original video with the ingredients that I had in the house. And I remembered I'd got this instant mash because I've got no potatoes in. And I thought, right, here's what I'm doing. So I used the instant mash. I made a batch of instant mash and I grated some cheese into it. I've got cheesy mash topped mince, which is a bit like a cottage pie. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm going to serve that with some broccoli. So that's the cottage pie style mince. And the broccoli served up together. I've got some gravy I'm going to put on. I don't know whether you like gravy or not. I do. I'm quite partial to a bit of gravy, so I'm going to pop some of that on. There we are. I made just enough, so I'm not wasting. And here's what happened on day three. Today's lunch, I'm going to have some tuna in a sandwich. So I've got my tuna there. Now I've got a question for you. How do you have your tuna? Let me know in the comments. So here's how I have mine. I have a little bit of mayonnaise in it. That's Sainsbury's own. And I add a little bit of vinegar. So just ordinary malt vinegar. And this is what I do with mine. So I will add some vinegar. You can add as much or as little as you want, and some mayonnaise. Now excuse me, because this always makes a noise when it comes out. Just a bit. There we are. And I mix that in. So this is my sandwich filling. And then I've got buttered bread there. You can butter your bread if you want, or you don't have to. I suppose it just depends. Some people do, some people don't. I do like a little bit of butter on mine. And I do like butter. I don't like margarine. And I sometimes think if I had to choose margarine, I'd probably do without. And then with this tin of tuna, I'm going to make this tin last a couple of days. So I'm going to put the remainder of that tuna back in the fridge for tomorrow's lunch. And then just going to cut that sandwich, and I'm going to have that just with a packet of crisps. That will do me for my lunch. And this is my dinner. It's what I call a one pot meal. So it's got everything in, including potatoes. It's got carrots and onions, and I think it's got a bit of turnip in. So this will do me for my meal tonight. There we are. That looks really good. Let's see what happened on day 4. I'm going to do something a little bit more exciting for lunch today. I saved the tuna from yesterday, and I was just going to have a tuna sandwich, but I thought, do you know what, I could do with something just a little bit jazzed up. So I'm going to make a tuna melt. That's my tuna melt toasty. So it's got tuna, tomato, cheese in, and if I just lift, maybe this, you can see how it's all melty inside. It's lovely. Looking forward to that. That's my lunch today. This evening's meal is 2 chicken steaks and some frozen chips. Not very healthy, is it really? But we are on this budget drive, so that was the choice for this evening. The chicken steaks are from this pack here, Red Hen Tempura chicken steaks. They were from Lidl, and I'm sure there was something like £1.49 or something. And here we are with day 5. So today's Friday, and I have 2 days left of the challenge. I'll finish the challenge on Sunday, and today's lunch is a cheese and tomato sandwich. So this is going to be my lunch for today. I'm going to make it into a sandwich, have a packet of those crisps with it that I've got left, that my mum gave me, the Marmite and Marmite potato cheese puffs, I think they are. What I'm going to do is, I've got this meatball dinner out the freezer, and I didn't really like the meatballs because they were peppery, and so I've decided I'm going to try and change the flavour of it by making it into a bit of a curry. So let's see what I need to do to that. Okay, so I've got a few ingredients out. I'm going to put some ground ginger in. I may add a bit of turmeric, some medium curry powder. I don't want it too spicy because my tummy won't like it. I've got some garlic granules. I often put a little bit of peanut butter in my curries because I quite like that Thai flavour, the peanut sauce. And then I often sweeten it off with a little bit of honey. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get this into the microwave and start to heat it up, and once it's got some heat into it, I'm going to add some of those flavours, and we'll see how it turns out. So it's not obviously cooked yet, it's got a little bit of warmth in, so it's just time for me to start adding a few of these flavours. So I'm just adding some of those curry spices and the ginger and the garlic and the turmeric in there to the mix, along with a dollop of peanut butter and a splash of honey, just to sweeten it off a little bit, and I think that'll give it a really nice flavour. It's starting to look a little bit more like a curry. and I just hope it'll flavour up those meatballs and make them not as just taste not as peppery. So I'm going to recover that, and I'm going to put it back in the microwave for about 2 to 3 minutes. It's already had 2 minutes. It was defrosted, and probably needs 2 to 3. I like to make sure everything's warmed through properly. And I've got a pan of rice on the stove cooking there to go. We're taking the meatballs out of the microwave. I've cooked myself some rice. I'm just going to serve these meatballs into the rice now, and then I'm done, ready to have my tea. Bon appetito again. I'm looking forward to this. I think it'll be really nice. There's quite a lot there. I didn't realise it'd be so much. I'll be stuffed afterwards. It's really hard to judge when you're by yourself how much you need. There we are. That can go out the way, and that's us ready to have dinner. Good stuff. Let's see what happened on day 6. For lunch, I had those pizza slices that I had got in the freezer, and I forgot to take any footage of them, so I've just popped in a stock image. So tonight's tea is a portion of the chips from the freezer and the chilli. And I've done the chips in the air fryer. I've got an old-fashioned air fryer. I need one of those new ones. It's one of those round ones that you had, I don't know, it's probably about 15 years old now. But rather than putting the oven on, I thought I'd be even more frugal and put the air fryer on instead, because I only needed to do the chips. It's day 7 and things are getting a little bit challenging. Let's have a look. We're now on day 7 of this no spend challenge, showcasing the meals that I had. So this is a tuna sandwich with those Marmite crisps that I've got. The other half of the tuna is in the fridge, ready for another day, for tomorrow probably. But I just want to show you how difficult things are getting. Only the very basics in the cupboard. I have got a bit of bread. I did have to go and get some bread yesterday. I've still got some biscuits and some chockies in there. Up there I've just got the basics like flour and pasta. Those crackers aren't for me, they're for my daughter. If I needed them I could eat them, but I'm trying to keep them. I've got no cheese. That's where my cheese normally lives. That's my half tin of tuna there in the bowl. I've got some tomatoes. I've used some of those today. An onion at the bottom there, which needs using, and some chocolate flavoured custard. The little secret stash is run down. I've got a can of soup, a tin of corned beef and some tuna, and then all that tea that's there. And nothing in the fridge, this big fridge, apart from 2 cans of Coke, which I don't really drink. They're in there for when my daughter visits. And the freezer is looking relatively bare. Not many chips left, 1 serving, perhaps a couple of servings of broccoli, some fruit. There is a meal there, which is turkey, which I probably think I'm probably going to get rid of because I wasn't keen on that. My daughter's bread. 2 ready meals and a meal that needs to be thrown out because I'm a bit reluctant to use it, and some ice cream. So I'm basically, I've 1 meal left to make, so I've got to make some decisions about what I'm going to have. So on the final day of the challenge, here's what's happened. I had to buy some bread. I absolutely ran out. I miscalculated on the bread. And I actually went into Morrison's to collect a prescription and had a quick look in the cheap aisle, on the yellow sticker aisle, and couldn't resist these vegetables. Now, these vegetables were not really supposed to be for this week. I only bought them because they were on the stickers and there was such a good deal, And I thought, if I get them, I can cook them all at once and I can put them in the freezer, and that's what they were bought for. So I've cheated a little bit because I did use some for my tea on this final day. So there's all that veg. I've got parsnips, I've got sprouts, and I've got a mix of broccoli and collie florets there, all cooking, most of which will go in the freezer. I think I do amazingly well in this tiny kitchen. It's like a cupboard, but here it is with a 3-tier steamer, and I've got my air fryer there, and I'm doing some parsnip chips in there, which I'm going to actually have with my tea. So my tea tonight is one of those meals from the freezer that I've batch cooked, and I do believe it is a chicken dinner, a chicken casserole, which will be lovely. It'll be a lovely accompaniment to the vegetables there, and a really nice end to the week. And there is my finished meal. So this is the last meal of the 7-day period. My second week of living from my cupboards. I think I've done pretty well. So there we are. I managed a second week without shopping. So that really means I've saved about £30 because I've been spending about £15 a week on my grocery shopping, which is brilliant, isn't it? I wonder what I could do with that £30. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do with that spare £30. Should I pay off some debt? Should I put it towards my house move? Should I buy some funky equipment for my YouTube channel? Don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, it's been absolutely lovely having you with me. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button because that always helps me, and it also helps you see future videos that might be coming up. If you haven't seen the video where we did the initial challenge for this week of meals, I will link that video up here somewhere so that you can go back and watch that. And I'll link some of the other videos that I do as well around when I go and spend, £15 on a challenge week or something like that. Let me know in the comments also if there's something that you would like to see me do. If you'd like to see me talk about something to do with budgets, just let me know and I'll see what I can create. It's been lovely having you with me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.